Hey, Aloha gang, Dr. Russ Rosen here. Listen, I've been having a lot of conversations with doctors who are just torn as to whether they should be in their office or not, and if so, how much. And so far, we're batting 1,000 in being able to help them from feeling torn about what to do to feeling very empowered and very good and comfortable with the decision that they've come up with. So what I want to do is kind of walk you through this process, and hopefully that's going to better help you if you're feeling torn about what to do or if that comes up for you. Now, I did do another video on the subject. You will see a link below that you can check it out. A lot of good stuff. But this is a very specific deep dive into what questions, what thoughts are you going to need to think through to help you come up with it. Now, the reality is it's risk versus reward. The reality is it's going to end up being the lesser of two evils. The odds are it's not going to be 100%. This is just it. The odds are it's, yeah, I'm going back and forth between I can see this side and I can see that side. But what I want to help you do is get clarity as to what's best for you. Now, I did another video like this, and I'll apologize in advance. I got notes right here. I'm in between coaching clients. I don't have a whole lot of time to memorize this stuff and do editing, so I'm just going to ask you to bear with me. So in our discovery coaching model that I employ, I do not just tell you what you should do. What I do is my goal is to ask you enough Socratic questions, enough of the right kinds of questions, that it will help you clarify what's best for you. And I don't believe there is a one right answer here. There's so many different variables. So that's the goal out of this. If we can help you come up with what's best for you and you feel comfortable with it, then this video is worth doing. So there's 7 different pieces that I'm going to ask that you examine and that you look at. And here's my experience. If we don't examine these things and we just make a dogmatic decision, then what ends up happening is we feel anxiety. We're still torn. We're still kept up at night because we really haven't thought this stuff through. We haven't really been honest with ourselves. So, and these are in no particular order, but the first one that I would take a look at is legal. Is it legal in your neck of the woods to be open right now? Very important question. I've been going back and forth the last 2 days with a couple of different doctors who were saying, where I'm at, it is illegal for me to see patients. And some of my very best longtime patients are emailing me telling me that they're in the worst crisis they've ever been in and that they need help right now. What should I do? Great question. Well, risk versus reward. It's going to be coming down to you're going to make a decision that's best for you. There is no one right answer. And yeah, those ones are obvious. This is what my heart tells me. I really want to help this person out. And then there's all the possible legal ramifications. But legal is an important one to take a look at. Economics. Economics is real. Can I afford to take time off? Can I afford to take off 2 weeks? Can I afford to take off a month? Could I afford to take off 6 months or a year? Like, these are all real questions. And again, I've talked with doctors about this, and they're kind of sheepish and quiet about this, like they shouldn't be looking at that. Of course you should look at that. You'd be crazy not to look at it. And again, these are the kinds of ones that if you're not honest about it, then it eats you up from the inside, right? It just festers inside of you. So that's a really important question. And again, there's different weighted ones. On one side, I might be saying, I don't want to be a part of spreading this. On the other side, I might be saying, but I can't afford not to. Am I a bad person for showing up? Like, all those, they're real. Those are real questions. You want to think them through. So economically, can I afford to? Another one that I hear so often is, I've worked so hard to get to this place. I'm finally doing really, really good. And I don't want to lose it all. Is that real? Yeah, that's real. The last gal that I was talking to, and I didn't ask if I could use her name, so I won't, but I love her. And we had a wonderful conversation and got her to the point where she felt real good. But she was saying, one of my dear friends and colleagues, Dr. Tom Preston, was talking about, look, if you take a look at this in relationship to you got another 20 years in practice, this is a gash. It's not cutting off an arm kind of thing. And you want to keep perspective on this. Unless, of course, this is cutting off an arm for you, that you will go under. You will be living under a bridge somewhere. Again, these are all things that you want to think through. So is that really important for you? Again, I'll come through this again in a couple of examples. The last piece about the economics is if you have kept the right message, which most of our offices have, so most of our offices, unless they just started working with us, their patients are saying, it's an emergency. You can only come in for an emergency. It is an emergency. Now more than ever, I want to be coming in. I want to be healthy, right? I want my immune system working at its best right now. So if you've had that message, they're going to come back to you when things settle down, and they will settle down. If that hasn't been your message, it's time to make that your message. This whole thing about pain care versus optimal health care, and that's our main focus, the optimal health coaching system. Now's the time. You should be studying this stuff. You should be preparing for when things do settle down. You want people coming in because they're going to want to keep their immune system strong. All right, so that's all under the economic part. And again, I've seen this every single time after the '01 crisis, after the '08 crisis. There will be businesses, all kinds of businesses that go under. And most of our offices saw more growth right after things started coming back to normal again than ever before. Hopefully that's going to be you. Another one is, and this is a real one, I don't want to be a part of spreading this right now. So do you believe that there is going to be a peak that happens right now, and that the healthcare system or the disease care system, there will not be enough hospital beds, there will not be enough ventilators? Do you believe that that's true? I spoke with a doctor today who does not believe that that's true. I personally have bought into what I've seen, and maybe it's just hype is what he's telling me. I don't know, but I do buy it. That there is going to be a massive spread unless we're doing this social distancing, and that there are going to be people that die that didn't need to die. So I think that that's an important piece. Again, I'm not telling you what to think, but if you are thinking, I really want to be a part of flattening this curve, I don't want to expose people to it in my office, and or what if I get it and I don't have any symptoms, and then all of my patients are coming in and I'm exposing it to all of them? That's a real thing. You want to think that through. Again, each one of these are weighted. They're weighted differently, and you got to really just, look at the harm, the risk versus the reward kind of thing. So I think those are really important ones to look at. Another one is, I don't want to be exposed right now, personally. Again, so many doctors are afraid to be honest about that. It's real. You're a human being. I don't want to be exposed to this right now. I don't trust my health. I don't trust my immune system. I do trust my health. But the reality is, and I watched Cuomo yesterday, I think the number was 50, and I don't know the exact number, but it was a big percentage of the population in the hospitals, in ICU, aren't at high risk. They're not the high risk group. So, there's a lot of folks that can be exposed to this and not do well with it. A lot can. A lot won't even, they had it. They'll have a little sniffle. But these are all real things that you want to look at. Another big one is not only I don't want to get it right now, but more importantly, I don't want my significant other or the people who are around me, I don't want them to get it. This is a big issue if they're immune compromised. We'll dive deep into this one in just a minute. Another one is, I realize that at some time the odds are we're going to get exposed to this. Right? Look at the next 2 or 3 years. This is not going to be eradicated. It's not going to happen. Common cold, flu doesn't get eradicated. And eventually we're probably all going to get exposed to it. The question is, do I want to be exposed to it right now? Do I want to expose my significant other to this right now? Important piece of the puzzle. If we can flatten that curve, probably better to get exposed to it in case they need care. It appears that my cousin and aunt had this in December. My aunt would not be alive today without a ventilator, right? So that's a real question. I'm probably going to get exposed to it. The question is, do I want to get exposed to it now? That's a real question that you want to think through. Let me see, where was I? Okay, also, now this comes to a big one, which is your philosophy as a healthcare provider. Now, certainly chiropractic philosophy, for a lot of us that's what we're here for. We're here to serve the masses, and we're going to help them with their immune system. People say, I have been telling my patients forever, if you don't feel well, get in. I will help you. How do I backpedal now? That's a real question, right? There's that socially. How do I deal with that, of what other chiropractors would think of me? other healthcare providers would think of me on both ends of that. The 1918 flu, what if chiropractors didn't step up and help the people? Look at how many people would have died. Um, you know, again, there's this whole piece of, I've been telling people this forever, and socially, what would my patients think of me? Socially, what would other doctors think of me? That's a real thing to think about, right? Get really clear about that. And then there's a variable in here. I was talking to a dear friend of mine. We were talking about his show rate right now of the number of people coming in, and it was only 50%. Now, for some offices, especially what I've seen is more pain-based offices, that would be great if 50% of people chose to come in and see you. We have offices that it's literally 90% are still choosing to come in because they talk about the immune system all the time. They're always talking about getting healthy and staying healthy. And these patients get it. And they get, I'm going to a grocery store. I could at least come and get adjusted, or I can at least come and see you, whatever it is. And then there was the variable when I was talking to my buddy about this, that he is 2 miles from the epicenter of the worst area in the whole tri-state area, East Coast kind of thing. Cuomo came out saying, do not leave your house. Dude, obviously you've done a good job in helping people understand the importance of care when 50% are still coming in, right? So there's just different variables, and those are things that you want to look at. You want to examine these variables, recognizing that they're not all weighed evenly. You've got to look at what's going to cause you the greatest joy, right? I want to be in service right now. That will bring me joy. The most pain, I don't want to expose other people right now. If I got sick and kept adjusting people and seeing people in my office, here's a few examples. I was working with Dr. Phil, who I absolutely love and adore, and he's a great thinker. He has an amazing practice. He's one of these ones that over 90% of the people are still coming in. They're literally saying, you can only come in if there's a crisis. This is a crisis. I need my adjustments right now more than ever. I mean, he's got this amazing practice, and we went back and forth on these specific issues with him. And if I take a look at these economically, legally, yep, he's in an area where I believe that it's at a place right now where it is only if it's a emergency. Economically, yeah, it'd be a drag, but economically, he's in great shape, and he's going to be fine. So that wasn't, I don't want to be a part of spreading it right now. Yep, that was a piece of the puzzle. Then it got down to, I don't want to be exposed right now. Well, his husband is immune compromised. His husband has been in the emergency room 7 times with pneumonia and almost died one of those times. So we kind of looked at it and said, could I live with myself if I exposed him to it and he died? Right? All right. Well, the pendulum swings back is then we take a look at, yeah, but he's gonna get, okay. And so I'll get there in a second. Do I realize that it's, probably not a good time to get it? Yeah. So that's where the pendulum swung back. Right. So yeah, like chiropractic philosophy, he's super strong. He wants to be there and serve his patients. He did care about what they thought about him, because all of a sudden now when we really need you, you're bailing on us. Like what you've always told us to get in. Like that's an important piece of the puzzle. He cares about that. But then we got to, yeah, but could I live with myself if my husband died? All right. And then the flip side of that, which is, all right, well, he's going to get exposed sometime, right? The odds are he's going to get exposed sometime. But do I want it to be now? Do I want it to be right now? And then it became clear, and he just went, good, I got it. No, I don't want it to be right now. So he wrote a beautiful letter to his patients, helping them understand why he's making this decision. Take a look at a link below. I'll have that because it's a beautiful one. But can you see how we just kind of went through it? Another one, Doc, who I got off just a little bit ago, legal perspective. Yep, it's, she can go in and see people if it's an emergency. Economics, can she afford to do it? Yes, she can afford to do it right now. Do I want to have a big drop? No, I don't, but economically I can. I don't want to be a part of spreading this right now. It really came down to this. I really don't want to be a part of it. As good as her immune system is, she recognizes she may not now. She could have this and just spread it to all these people. And then it came down to the red-blooded chiropractor in her, that she wants to serve people, that she's always told people. But as we went back and forth on all of these, she just kind of went, no, I really want to be a part of flattening the curve right now. I think that this is really important, right? So, and in both cases, because my job is to ask you enough questions to help you clarify, in both cases, they did ask me what my 2 cents is. And in Phil's one, I mean, obviously, as you're listening to this, you're going, well, obviously, like, you shouldn't be going in. But he was torn because he's in it, just like you. You get torn, you're in it, and people on the outside are going, dude, are you kidding? Right? As far as she goes, she was torn. Right, but through this conversation, we helped her get there. Both of them asked for my 2 cents. For Phil, it was like, no question. Can you live with yourself if your husband dies? Shut up. For her, this other gal, and again, because I didn't ask if I could use her name, I'm not, but she is one of the most philosophically wonderful human beings. She thinks everything through to the nth degree. And I know that she'd be up at night, being torn by this if she was doing it because of dogma or because of, what other people think of her, blah, blah, blah. Once we thought this through, she just smiled and said, good, I'm home. I feel good about this. So let me see if I missed anything on that. No, we're there. Good, I got that. So, yeah, good. So what about you? I hope that this helps you start to think this through for yourself. If you found value in it, please forward it. Look, we'll get through this together. We will flip through and get to the other side. There is no question in my mind that if you are keeping the right message in front of your patients, and I'll be sending a video out as soon as I can on how to keep your message in front of your patients. But when they really get who you are and what you do, and that you can help them get healthy and stay healthy, when you are an optimal health kind of provider versus just the pain-based provider, which is fine for if that's what you want to do. But especially during these times, man, there's no better time to be an optimal health type of provider. So as always, I hope that was of value to you. If you have questions, flip me an email. I'll do my best to help you out with it. If it's something I think will help a lot of people, I'm going to make videos on it. We'll get through this together. So as always, much love and aloha. Bye, gang.